watching us tonight. The President of the United States under siege. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. The Obama administration has trouble on three fronts, as you may know. The IRS illegally investigating conservatives. The assassination of Libyan Ambassador Christopher Stevens, still not defined after 8 months. And the Justice Department secretly obtaining the phone records of some journalists. Today, the president met with the Turkish prime minister, who looked a little confused, and then answered questions about the three controversies. We begin with the IRS deal.
I'm outraged by this in part because, look, I'm a public figure. If a future administration is starting to use the tax laws to favor one party over another or one political view over another, obviously, we're all vulnerable.
Okay, Mr. Obama fired the IRS acting director last night and replaced him today with another bureaucrat. But there is deep suspicion in some circles that the liberal Obama administration created an atmosphere where far-left zealots in the IRS were basically unsupervised. They could do what they want. That's a hard charge to prove, but there's no question that Mr. Obama's administration is ideological, thus suspicions run deep. Today, Mr. Obama pledged a big IRS cleanup.
We will be putting in new leadership that will be able to make sure that following up on the IG audit, that we gather up all the facts, that we hold accountable those who have taken these outrageous actions.
Of course, the president had to say that. Was he going to say, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to fix it, I don't care? He had to say that. But again, there is suspicion, because after 8 months, the Benghazi deal still has not been fixed. And today, the president fell back on an old canard.
I'm calling on Congress to work with us to support and fully fund our budget request to improve the security of our embassies around the world.
Now, you may remember that Senator Barbara Boxer and some other Democrats blamed Benghazi on the fact that Republicans want to cut spending. The Washington Post looked at that charge and found it completely bogus. The security screw-up in Libya was solely the fault of bad management in Washington. Why Mr. Obama would want to revisit the spending deal is a mystery tonight. The president's on more solid ground, I should say, when he speaks about the Associated Press controversy. There are about 20 phone lines were secretly scrutinized by the Justice Department, not tapped, all right? They just got the phone line records. Now, why did they do that? Here's what Mr. Obama said.
When we express concern about leaks, at a time when I've still got 60,000 plus troops in Afghanistan, and I've still got a whole bunch of intelligence officers around the world who are in risky situations, in outposts that in some cases are as dangerous as the outpost in Benghazi, that part of my job is to make sure that we're protecting what they do.
The Talking Points believes that's a legitimate concern, that in the war on terror, covert operations have to be protected to some extent. If the press prints everything, some of our people will die. But there's always the abuse of power question. Did the Justice Department go too far with the Associated Press? You won't get an answer from the Attorney General. He says he doesn't know anything about it. He has recused himself. The Assistant Attorney General still has not been forced by President Obama to say what he knows, and therein lies the problem. The president should be a problem solver. He has the authority to make his people talk, get them out there, stand next to them. If there is a legitimate reason to pull the phone records of reporters, then in a general sense, tell us what that reason is. Story's over. If there is a legitimate reason not to provide added security in Libya, tell us the reason. On the IRS front, please explain why the IRS director lied to the country in November and how that department could get so out of control. It's a sad fact of life that politics almost always intrudes on leadership. Instead of really solving problems, President Obama and most every other modern president tries to deflect them. Mr. Obama did that again today when he put a happy face on the AP matter, saying there should be new laws that protect reporters.
To the extent that this case has prompted renewed interest about how do we strike that balance properly, then I think now's the time for us to go ahead and revisit that legislation.
See what I mean? So the president now wants more protections for reporters, even has his administration rifles through their phone records. This is great, you know. All right. This has been a tough week for the Obama administration, and things will get even tougher if more whistleblowers emerge. Big mistakes were made on many fronts. In order to salvage his credibility, Mr. Obama must be very aggressive in explaining to the American public exactly what happened and why it happened. And so far, he hasn't done it. And that's a memo.